it is a very Christian culture there. Everyone goes to church on Sunday. Like she was like, you can go to bars and stuff on Saturday. And if you say I gotta go early because I got church in the morning, it would be a very like, oh yeah, I get it totally. Like it's like such a normal thing to everyone has to go to church on Sunday. Y'all know me. I was on the fence about like, should I go to church? Like I'm not a Christian. And I don't want to go into this church and have a conversation with someone and get myself kicked out of Ghana. And so I was just like, should I go? But my friend was like, really, it's it's a part of the experience of being in Ghana is going to church. Is like everyone got to go to church. And so I was like, okay, all right, I'll go. But she did say, she told me to behave myself, which I did. Listen, again, the spirit is in everyone, and church is a variation of the collective of people bringing their spirit energy together. Again, it's just like Christianity brings it together and then exploits it and weaponizes it and does bad things with it. But the energy, the God energy, is still be in the churches. So especially if it's like there are good churches out there. Not most of them, I will say. I say it is. I feel like it is more rare to find a good church than it is to find a bad church. I feel like there are more bad churches out there than good churches, and I know Christians won't want to hear that, but it's a hierarchical institution, and they are required to have sexual assault insurance. So I'm just like, it's an institution that requires insurance because they are so often sued for sexual assault of the people who go to that church. And you want to tell me that there are more good churches than bad ones? Don't talk to me. Go away. So, anyways, yeah. So there are some good churches, and the spirit do be in there occasionally. And so I am not against going to church and hearing a word. And then I also do like to hear different people's interpretation of the Bible because I always obviously have my own. And it's always, it's always interesting slash fun to hear it from a different perspective. And so I was like, yeah, I'll go to church. I'll go to church in Ghana. Let's give it a go. And so she takes me to this church, which first of all, the church is owned and run by a white man, and that also just like a white man preaching Christianity in Africa. It's just like I'm like, y'all sitting here, all y'all Ghanaians sitting here, they don't itch y'all butts at all. They don't itch your butt, not even a little bit, they don't make you want to do one little scratch, not even one. All right, in your country, not mine, not mine. Hey, that's y'all want to come to church? Okay, fine. And so, but he wasn't there today. The actual like white man pastor wasn't there, and so it was like a lower high on this Christian hierarchy pastor, and he was a Ghanaian man, and so this was a Ghanaian man preaching this sermon, and I even I brought the pamphlet. I don't wanna put the name of the church up there, but this was like the theme of the week was called the bait. So let's talk about religion. Church in Ghana. The theme of the day was the bait, and that was talking about, and so the whole thing was talking about if you compromise, if you compromise like your not your faith to God, but like if you like if you're a good Christian and you're not supposed to be doing all these things, and including like smoking, drinking, lusting, all the things that all humans do at some point in their lives, because we're all sinners. If you do any of those things, you are compromising your relationship. So the theme was if you compromise your relationship with God, bad things will happen. And so God is the devil is going to send you bait. And so that is why the theme of the sermon was the bait. So the first let's see here. Okay, the first verse they used was Psalms 1 and 1. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. Yeah, so you are blessed if you do not like hang out with ungodly people or stand with ungodly people or hang out with ungodly people, which I feel like goes against what Jesus said, which was be with all people, no matter who they are. And then it says, for James chapter 1, verses 14 through 15, but each one is tempted when he is drawn away by his own desires and enticed. Then, when desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, because sin's always there, you guys. And sin, when it is full grown, brings forth death. And that was really one that he like harped on, I feel like, for a significant portion of the sermon. And to summarize that up, people are going to be tempted by their own desires, but if you give into those desires, you will sin, and if you sin, you will eventually die. And so his example was essentially like, if you want to have a drink of alcohol, you will become an alcoholic. Like that was his example. Like he had this girl stand up and was like, people were like, "Oh, it's just a beer. It's only like 10% alcohol." And then he's like, "Here, take this water bottle." And then the girl reaches out to grab the water bottle, and he says, "Oh, but it's only 10% poison." And then she's like, "Ah," and he's like, "Oh, it's fine. It's only 5% poison. You can drink it. But the rest is water." And so that was his example of, even if you drink even just like a small beer or like a small glass of wine, you are compromising your relationship with God, and it will eventually lead you down a path of becoming an alcoholic. And then he had his another example was like, don't even like men shouldn't even like look at women essentially, or like talk to women at work or develop a relationship with them, because his literal example, this is a quote, y'all. His example was, it'll start with, she comes up to you and she will fix your tie at work. And then the next thing you know is you are sleeping with this woman. No, he said the next thing you know, you've ruined your marriage, is what he said. He didn't say sleeping with this woman. He said next thing you know, you've ruined your marriage, or your marriage is on the rocks, or like he implicated that you ended up sleeping with this woman who adjusted your tie. And then his joke was, and that's why I don't even wear ties. And he wasn't wearing a tie. It was funny. It elicited a chuckle, but also it's like, you are really preaching here that, one, if you indulge in anything just even a little bit, you're an awful person. It's going to lead you to damnation, destruction, and all these other things. And then you're also advocating that men can't even have a woman adjust his tie without him wanting to sleep with her. I'm just like, really? That's the message you're going to give me here, sir? That's the message? He's like, and he said the same thing with he implicated the greenery that people indulge in. If you do it one time, that's it for you, buddy. Wrap it up. You're going down yonder. It'll be hot where you're going, sir, for that J that you just indulged in. And then what other? Yeah, there were so many examples he used that were just like, it was so gross, because I'm like, first of all, so going back to this desires portion, he really, the next let me read the next one. The next verse was James. Oh, this is the same one. So the same one, right? This is where he emphasized James 1:14. But each one is tempted when he is drawn away by his own desires and enticed. And so it was harping on the fact that if you even have the desire, he kept harping on, if you have the desire to drink, the desire to have to fornicate is what they got outside of marriage. The desire, if you even have these desires, you are problematic. You are not close enough to God. You are not doing right by yourself. And I'm just sitting there like, if I am a person who is struggling, if I'm sitting in this audience and I'm a person who is struggling with alcoholism, right, or something of that nature, of some sort of addiction, and I have this desire to go drink, I'm just like, going to this sermon, sitting in this sermon, I would have left and bought me a bottle. And if you pay attention, all of the churches in the hood, they got alcohol liquor stores right beside them. Because the way that you read these Christian sermons, it makes you hate yourself. Like, if I were struggling with that, I would have left with the understanding that I am a sinner just for the desire and the thought, so might as well do it anyway. If I drink, and then once I drink, I'll never be, as I am the alcoholic that he's mentioned, and so my life's worth nothing anyway. Not one freaking time that this man asked, like, talk about, if you have the desire to be inebriated in your present life, for all of your present life, what is it that you are running from? What is the trauma or the pain that is coming up when you are sober? Why do you want to escape your sober life so much that you are willing to hurt yourself and hurt the people that you love, because you want to cover up this? There's a pain that is greater that you are trying to cover up than the pain of losing everyone that you love. There's something so hurt inside of you that you would rather go to this literal poison and do that every day, or smoke that every day, or do whatever that is, take that every day. You would rather do that and destroy your life than figure out what's going on the inside. Like, no, of course they didn't talk about none of that. That's no. If you think about drinking, you're a sinner. The end. Clap for Jesus. And then he kept saying, clap for Jesus. And then everyone would just, no, that's rude. I know that's rude. But that's what y'all, as someone who is sitting here, who is not, like, my brain is not in this Christian box, is not limited by these beliefs. It's like, that's what it felt like. It felt like I was looking at a bunch of programmed robots do what they're supposed to do. Like, they were just clap. He would literally say, clap for Jesus. And everyone would just clap like trained seals. I clapped too, like a trained seal, I will say, but I didn't clap because I had to fit in. I had to fit in. I had to fit in, which, yeah, but they came voluntarily. I didn't, not that I didn't come anyways, it doesn't matter. That's what I saw. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but like he literally would just kept like whenever he would say stuff, and I feel like that's the thing. I feel like some of the stuff he was saying wasn't hitting with the audience either because he made a joke about like trans people. He was like, "Oh, there's no women in here with Adam's apples, right?" Because and it was like it was in the context, I guess. But it's just like he said that, and it was like and I could feel like I could feel people like. But then there was also a significant portion. This is Africa. This is Ghana, where they're all like, "Ha ha ha ha! No, no, no men without Adam's apples in here. No." Just like okay. And then speaking of just like again, patriarchal gender norms, a phobia. He made another joke about if when so the bait, right, that the Lord is going to send men again was going to, he said it was going to come in the form of like a young, beautiful woman. And he was like, God's not going to send you, some 90-year-old woman. And, I just after he lived like again, these are quotes, y'all, out of his mouth of I'm just repeating it back. And I was just like, wow, you just like if there are older women in here, it's just like it was just such a gross jab at older women. I'm like, I'm certain there are some 90-year-old baddies out there. My soon to be ex-husband, his grandma is like 90 something, which also, shout out to her. She was a part of my inspiration for no offense to my husband, but like, but for leaving him because she was married before because I was talking to her one time and she was married before, and her husband died. And then she lives alone and she's 93 and she's been living alone since her husband died, never got remarried, right? And she's just so independent, just so like, and she's so happy, so healthy, just like living her life so just good to go. And I'm just like, wow, you can live to be very old as an older Black woman. I just thought in my mind, I was like, oh, maybe she's lonely. But then as I went through my marriage and I thought about her grandma more and more, I'm just like, nah, she's not lonely. She living her best life. She got her dog, like she be gardening, like, and she's 90 something years old, moving and grooving. So anyways, and she don't look a day over 75. Don't look a day over 75. And so for this man to be here just throwing insults at older women saying they're not beautiful and that like that's they're not a temptation. I just like it was just like so unnecessary. And then all the other pieces of his sermon. Oh, let me see if he had it in here because so that was he just kept talking about just like how men are going to just commit adultery on their wives. And so, another point he was talking about Samson, and he was like, "Yeah, Samson could kill 1,000 men with his bare hands. He was like one of the strongest men on earth. Like, Samson is." And he was brought down by a woman, by Delilah. Delilah brought down a man who could kill 1,000 men with his bare hands. And I'm like, you're praising a person who was a murderer, and you're saying Delilah was a bad person. I know I gotta go, read the story. I'm sure she did something wrong, especially in the eyes of the Bible, but it's just like the way that he was just like uplifting this man for his ability to commit heinous crimes against humanity. I was just like, hello. I'm like, am I the only one? Are we listening to both sides of this? And then of course he talked about Eve and that. I know that's where the jokes about trans people came in with the Eve and the apple and the apple Adam's apple. And he was blaming women for the downfall of men there. Delilah, there were all the examples he gave about like temptation was essentially women being awful and terrible, and then the what were the temptations for? Were there even any temptations? Because he tried to use the same examples for men that he used for women, but they really didn't hit very well. You could tell that he really thought about the temptations for men, but like, oh yeah, women are in the audience too. That's what it felt like. He was like, oh yeah, and women don't be tempted by men as well. All right, that's that. That he just kept going. I was like, all right. So yeah, it's just like he didn't really translate, like he didn't really give good examples for like temptations that women have, and it was just we were really an afterthought for him in this sermon. And so I'm gonna just round us off with his the final like takeaway that I just loved honestly, and it's like one of my favorite. I just loved it, and it's just the irony of it all is really the funny part about it. But so here's like the final like the final thing was actually abstain from all appearance of evil. It was like abstain from all like he was like even if it looked evil, even if you're not even sure, just like walk away, just turn away, just don't even look at it. Like it's just like again when y'all put that so that's one of my biggest like phrases in life is everything in moderation, even moderation. Like that's my whole thing. When you tell someone you cannot have this, you are going to make them want that. You are going to elicit this wonder, this mystery, this like this taboo. Like that's why all preachers' kids always come out crazy. Not say crazy, but like they go through this very large rebellious stage because they were denied so much for so long. Now they want everything that they can get their hands on because they had nothing. But had other children who have like, moderate access to, you know, drugs and alcohol and other bad things, or not bad, but like other, things that can things adult things that need responsibility when used, they are less, oh my god, I want this, oh my god, I have this, like, because they already had exposure to it, they've already had access to it. It wasn't this big crazy taboo thing that they've inflated in their head to be this large and this thing, because it's like, it was just like, it's like a small thing. It's a thing in the house. Oh, alcohol here. It's just like, it's not a big deal because they've had exposure to it. But when you limit access, when you tell people you cannot have this, you cannot do that, you should never do this, you should never do that. When you like make people live in the extremes, it creates it creates the actual problems that you are trying to avoid. But when you say when you tell everyone everything in moderation, including moderation, sure, you can have a little drink, sure, you can have a little smoke, sure, you can skip a few days of exercise, sure, you can pig out on this day, sure, you can eat bad on this day, sure, you can just you can do like things like that are not good for you, but just do it in moderation. Don't eat sugar every single day of your life. Like, don't eat like a candy bar every single day of your life, but have a candy bar every once in a while when you feel like it. Have a cookie every once in a while when you feel like it. Don't eat cookies every single day. Don't make it your main meal. Don't eat hamburgers every single day. Don't make it your main meal. Like, but like, every once in a while, hey, have a burger, have some fries, and live your life. Don't live like, and then even then, every once in a while, dog, like, hey, slam down 10 burgers if you feel like it. But like, don't do that every day. Don't even do that. Like, that's like when I say even moderation, like, you should do everything in moderation, even moderation. Like, don't limit yourself to, I can only do this much at this amount of time. Like, if you feel compelled one day to just be a fat slob, just be a fat slob. Like, don't get stuck there. Don't stay there. Don't live there. But like, every once in a while, forget the moderation. Just ball out. That's how you should live your life. You should live your life, do everything every once in a while in a healthy, like in a way that your body can recover. And your body is a filter. I always tell that people, your body is a filter. It's like it's a renewable filter energy resource. You can if you have a filter for anything, you gotta let it. You can use it, but it gets dirty, and you gotta change it out, right? You gotta let your body clean itself. You gotta let it recover. You can't just keep putting dirt in your body and never get a chance to recover, because then it'll get backed up, and then you become unhealthy, and then you get sick. But if you're healthy most of the time, and every once in a while you dump a bunch of crap in there, it's just like, ooh, your body's already healthy and can handle a bunch of crap being dumped in. It might take it a little time to get it out, especially if it's not used to it, but it'll get it out, especially if you give it time and space to do so, and then you're gonna be back to normal and you're good to go. But if you say never, 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 and then when you finally have access to it, you're gonna dump, 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 dump. It's crap. Those kind of limits on people, it causes the problems that you are trying to avoid. So just let people have their stuff, and just make sure, and believe in their ability to not overindulge. People overindulge when there's an issue on the inside. Like, when you are trying to cover something up, when you're trying to run from something, when you're trying to hide from something in the 3D, some sort of pain that happened to you in the 3D that's causing you internal spiritual issues, emotional issues, then that's when overindulgence happen. Like y'all, the physical comes last. Whenever you have an issue that is showing up in your life in this external world, it is because something on the inside of you is messed up, is wrong, is like unhealed, is traumatized. If you keep having negative experiences, it's because there's a negative experience stuck on the inside of you that is not coming out. So anyways, the last thing that I thought was just super funny, the wrap up of this sermon was, and quote, discernment is not knowing the difference between right and wrong. It is the difference between right and almost right. It says by Charles Spurgeon. I don't know who that is, but so the quote is saying, which is, like I said, this is the irony of it. It's like he was basically saying the devil doesn't show up like, with a big neon sign that says I'm the devil and he has big horns. The bait will show up as looking tantalizing. It'll show up as being exactly what you want it to be. And then that's when you bite onto it, and then you're hooked and you're caught and they've got you. And that is, I feel like, how I always describe Christianity, which is why I thought it was so, so, so ironic that this is a sermon that God planned for me to sit in on. My God, our God, the collective consciousness, because that's here. I'm really just a messenger from the collective consciousness here to wake up everybody, because the collective consciousness, which is God, which is all of us, all of us are tired of having bad experiences. And so the collective consciousness birthed me so that I could wake everyone else up, so that we can stop having bad experiences, because our spirit on the inside, our collective consciousness is sick of it. It's tired of bad experiences. It's tired of the misery, tired of sadness, tired of the pain. The collective consciousness, God energy, I told you, is love and like lightness and peace and stillness and joy and fulfillment. It's such like a good space. And they're tired of y'all sending back all of this negative energy. So I'm just the messenger here to tell you all, wake up so we can stop having bad experiences. But so I was saying, I always say this about Christianity, is that it is it is right beside the truth. It is right beside, it is parallel to spirituality, like to the true spirituality, like that the indigenous ancestors all knew, all understood, all like got, like the stuff that they are hiding from us. They don't want us to know, like all the science behind our energy, all the good stuff. It takes all of the truth, and it shifts it, it turns it, it inverts it, it flips it upside down, it like walks beside it, but it's never the truth, because it wants you to stay away from the truth. So it takes the truth and like and narcissistic is it. That is literally what this is just. I literally always say is like, it's almost. I literally always say it's almost the truth. It's almost right. And so this said is discernment is knowing the difference between, not knowing the difference between right and wrong, because that's easy. Everyone can see what's right and what's wrong. Well, no, everyone can see what's right and wrong when it's like clearly, unbiasedly laid out in front of you. But it is hard to know the difference between right and almost right. And Christianity is almost right. And Christianity is almost right. It is almost right. It is like, it's got all this stuff, but it's like, but then like, there's like, then it takes a hard left. And so for this was the takeaway was like, yes, Christianity is almost right. And you need the discernment to know that it is not right. It is not right. It is like, and it's like, I was just like, wow, the irony of y'all saying, the congregation needs to know what's right and what's almost right. And then the narcissists, they will project, they will, they literally did the thing. They did the narcissistic thing in this sermon. They inverted the truth. They put the truth side by side to their truth and was just like, no, pick me, pick me. And then and the people will pick the wrong one. So that. That was my experience of religion in Ghana. It was gross. It was basically my experience of religion anywhere. There's no, like, you can't put me in a church and I'm not going to, and me not be able to call out all of the bullshit that is spewed out of any pastor's mouth. And it's like, I get you guys they mean well, but you're spewing like inverted, incorrect, narcissistic knowledge that is harmful to all people, especially women.